to make it work correctly?
Ma'am, the second if statement.
Second if statementல என்ன இருக்கணும்? ஜெயக்குமார் நீங்களே யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. இப்போ ஒண்ணு பண்ணுங்க. நான் எப்பவுமே உங்களுக்கு என்ன சொன்னேன், காமன்ஸ் எழுதணும்னு சொன்னேன், டீபக் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ் எழுதணும்னு சொன்னேன். இஃப் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஃபைண்ட், ரைட் ஜெயக்குமார்? So why don't you print after line 5 print first index, after line 7 print last index? நீங்களே உங்களோட ஆன்சர் கண்டுபிடிப்பீங்க. I don't want to give you the answer, that's why I'm asking you. Print பண்ணுங்க பார்க்கலாம்.
நம்மளா ஒரு இண்டெக்ஸ் பண்ணணும்.
இல்ல print first underscore index. Debug பண்ணு இல்லன்னா print பண்ணு. Either way works. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay. run பண்ணுங்க. It's good to do debug if you are comfortable. Otherwise you can also put display statements. It's however you are comfortable with. அதே இது கொடுங்க. அப்ப உங்களுக்கே புரிஞ்சிரும் என்ன தப்பு நீங்க பண்ணிருக்கீங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. I want you to know the answer. Debug run பண்றதுல. Okay, Daniel, what's the question?
மேம் லாஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் வந்து அவர் ஃபைண்ட் பண்ணிருக்காரு. அப்ப ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் லாஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் ஈக்குவலா இருக்கான்னு செக் பண்ணலாம்ல மேம்?
Exactly, you got that right. நீங்க find and r find க்கு டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்ன? let him figure it out. Daniel, okay, ஒரு நிமிஷம் வெயிட் பண்ணலாம். So let him run. அதே சென்டென்ஸ் ரன் பண்ணுங்க ஜெயக்குமார். BCDE ABCDE கொடுத்திருந்தோம் இல்லையா? It doesn't matter, and only to put a character B. So first index என்ன வருது? ஆன்சர் என்ன வந்ததுன்னு பாருங்க. ரன் பண்ணுங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் போங்க இன்னொரு ஸ்டெப். what is first index? 1. okay, A வந்து 0th பொசிஷன்ல இருக்கு, B வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பொசிஷன்ல இருக்கு. கரெக்ட்? இப்போ வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவல் டு -1. கரெக்ட்டா? சோ உள்ள போவீங்க, ரன் பண்ணுங்க. அத நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப் போங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் மறுபடியும் போங்க. இப்போ லாஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் என்ன வந்தது சொல்லுங்க?
1.
ரிவர்ஸ் ஃபைண்ட். சோ ஃபைண்ட்னாலும் ரிவர்ஸ் ஃபைண்ட்னாலும் ஒரே ஒரு லெட்டர் தான் இருந்ததுன்னா both of them are going to find the same A, correct? or same B or same C. நீங்க முன்னாடில இருந்து சர்ச் பண்ணாலும் பின்னாடில இருந்து சர்ச் பண்ணாலும் it is going to find it, correct? எப்ப டிஃபரண்ட் வரும்? when there is more than one A. இப்ப நீங்க அதே இதுவ வந்து நீங்க ரன் பண்ணும்போது ABCDB கொடுத்திருந்தீங்கன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? R find will find some other index, correct? ஏன்னா பின்னாடில இருந்து சர்ச் பண்ணிட்டு வருது. புரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? சோ இதே இது நீங்க மறுபடியும் இதை ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிட்டு ரன் பண்ணுங்க. இப்ப ரன் பண்ணும்போது you give another B. You can just go ahead and run it, finish it. இப்ப ரன் பண்ணும்போது give some 2 B's in the string. இப்ப கேரக்டர் பி பண்ணீங்கன்னா என்ன ஆச்சு? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் வந்து உங்களுக்கு 1 இருக்கும், லாஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் will be 4, கரெக்ட்? புரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? Right? So what have you missed in your logic? If you cannot find both first index and last index are the same, then there is only one input character, correct? அந்த else குள்ள நீங்க வந்து என்ன பண்றீங்க? லாஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவல் டு -1 லெட்டர் போட்டுறீங்க, கரெக்டா? பட் அதுக்குள்ள only if first index and last index are different you need to write the letter between, correct? Makes sense? So you have to change that. So you don't have to change it, but did you understand what is happening? Is everybody understanding what we just went through? Hello? Is everybody following what is happening? Please do a thumbs up.
I think that then.
Prasanna, Deepika.
Ma'am, now
Okay.
it's right.
So,
Right. Correct.
say that again, Jaykumar.
Ma'am, correct.
So basically, this is why I tell you the boundary conditions. Remember this, I keep repeating the same thing every lesson. First of all, you need to write comments. Okay. So Jaykumar, here you could have written so many comments, correct?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
First index. What are you finding? I'm finding the first occurrence, right? Last index. I'm finding the last occurrence, right? There might be chances that first and last occurrence are exactly the same. So that is the condition you missed. So when you test your code, make sure you test it with all conditions. Having no character or having one character or having three characters. You have to play it around and see how your code is handling. That is very, 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 very important. Okay. It's a simple problem, but you can see that you could have done it by testing the boundary condition. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so now thanks, Jay Kumar. You can stop sharing your screen. Now let me call Sisia. Can you share the second problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, ma'am. So the question is, print all the letters between these two A. Also print between first B and last B, ma'am.
Is that the problem? Hold on 1 second. Let me just read the problem again from the. I thought the problem said if in the input find the first and between, if there is no A or second A is found, then find the letters between 2B. If no B or 2B is found, then find the letters between. You don't have to print A between B and so on, right? You have to only print if A is not available.
But ma'am, this was a second. Ma'am discussed this as a second, ma'am. If no, then B. She did as a third one. This one.
3, there is more. There you have to find the last occurrence. Right? Okay. Anyway, go ahead and show me what you have done, and we'll try to correct it for solving the problem. Go ahead. So you have tried to solve, find between two A's, and then. Yeah,
ma'am, here this is find
right?
between two A's. If not, if letters if A is not there, then find between two B's.
Two B's. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. The function is same like the first one only, ma'am. I'm taking two inputs, the string and the alpha, ma'am, character. Then both I'm converting to lowercase to like no error, like case sensitive error should not come. So then I'm initializing a thing called alpha font and putting it as false. Then first alpha I'm finding using the find keyword. So find the alpha, whatever character we give as alpha, it will find. Then if first alpha is greater than equal to 0, that is if it is present, then we'll continue. Then last alpha is equal to reverse find alpha, ma'am. So from the last it will check. Then if first alpha is not equal to last alpha, we're printing the letters between the two alpha is from the first alpha index plus 1 to last alpha. The last
Okay.
letter will be automatically not included, no? So we are not adding -1 there.
Okay.
So if we get it, then we are converting the alpha font to true.
Mm.
Otherwise, there is no second alpha, else no alpha. So the alpha font will remain false. And at the end, I'm returning the alpha font.
Okay.
So the main code, just I'm entering the string. And here, if letter between alpha, I'm calling the function and giving the string and alpha is equal to a is not true. That is, if the alpha font is not true, if the alpha font is false, then it will go to next. The letter between alpha string, alpha is equal to b. So yeah, I did only for 2 letters, ma'am. I didn't do
Okay.
for every letters.
Okay.
That's all.
So what are the comments that you can provide? You think that I will provide to this code?
Ma'am, like feedback, no?
What do you think my first feedback would be? I just gave the same feedback.
Mom, I should do it for every letter. I should do some follow-up or
No,
something.
not that. Not that. Comments.
Comments,
Where are
no?
the comments? Yeah. You need to have comments saying what is this function doing? For each of those codes that you have written, what are you trying to do? Right? That way it will be easy for anybody to understand. You don't have to explain to me, right? What you're trying to do.
Okay.
So please
Okay, ma'am.
make sure as you're writing the code, incorporate comments. That's the first thing that I'm always going to ask for. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
now let's say you have to change it to also add if B is not found to C. How will you do it?
The hard ways I can do it is not equal to true. Letter between alpha string alpha is equal to C, I can give. No? But if I
Okay.
had to find till Z, it is very long.
Okay. Okay. So then what can you do? What did we learn to do that? I taught you last week some functions, some loops that can help you with it. What do you think it will help? If you have to do from A to Z, what do you think you can do?
Ma'am, I didn't attend the last class, ma'am. Like I need
Okay,
to
so
use
then
the
why didn't
phone.
you catch up then what was taught? If you don't attend the class, right, then it's your responsibility to listen to the class, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And catch up with what's done. Okay, so anybody else who can answer, if somebody has to loop through all the alphabets until a condition is matched, what loops do you think you can use? Who wants to answer that question? Saiswaran, go ahead.
ஃபார் லூப் யூஸ் பண்ணணும். இப்போ வெக்டர்ஸ் வந்து A to Z வரைக்கும் கொடுத்துட்டு அந்த இதை ரிப்பீட் பண்ணிட்டு அது செக் ஆயிருக்காது.
Okay, how will you get out of the for loop? When will you get out of the for loop? For loop வந்து A to Z போகும். I get that. But once you find a match, you need to get out, right? How would you do that?
மேம் அவங்க இது பேராமீட்டர்ஸ்ல ஆல்ஃபான்னு சொல்லுவாங்க மேம். அது வந்து ஃபார் லூப்ல வந்து ஃபார் ஆல்ஃபா இன் A to Z வரைக்கும் அந்த லெட்டர்ஸ் கொடுத்துட்டு ஃபங்க்ஷனை கால் பண்ணிட்டு இது எழுதலாம்.
என்ன எழுதுவோம்? ஃபங்க்ஷனை கால் பண்றாங்க. எப்ப வெளியில வரணும்? Do they have to in the loop வந்து A to Z full போகணுமா இல்லனா do you come out of the loop when you find a match? How would you do that? How would you come out?
Find a match ஆச்சுனா பிரேக் பண்ணிடலாம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து A to B C
that is what I was looking for. Yes, good. So ஒரு for loopல போட்டு you can do break, right? When you find a match you can break. So ஏலியே உங்களுக்கு மேட்ச் ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? for loop எத்தனை வாட்டி எக்ஸிக்யூட் ஆகும்?
one time. ஏனா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம்ல மேட்ச்
ஆயிடுச்சு. கரெக்ட். அதுவே D தான் இருந்ததுன்னா D 3-4 times போய் 4th time தான் அது பிரேக் ஆகும் உள்ள இருந்து. Is everybody following how it will work for loop? Who else can explain other than Saiswaran what he just told? Pushpa, how would you explain how to write the for loop for solving this problem for Cecilia? Because she doesn't know how for loop works.
Yes, ma'am, we can range for all the alphabets, that is 0 to 26. And if it is true, we can break out from the for loop. If we get the first match only in the for loop, in the first iteration only, if we get the match, then we can come out of the for loop saying that it is true match is found.
Did you understand that, Cecilia?
Yes, ma'am.
How for loop works. Okay. So I want you to take that as the homework and finish that. Okay. You need to
Okay.
make sure the code works for all the alphabets. It doesn't matter which alphabet it is. Until you find a match, you're going to loop through that and then break and continue. So make sure you Google or you go check the lessons that were done before. There is for loop, there is while loop. It doesn't have to be for loop. You can also use while loop. You can do multiple things. Okay. So play around and find how to do it. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Cecilia. Okay. So now the third problem. Who wants to share your screen? I'm going to pick Hari Prasanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you show me how you did the third problem? The third problem talked about, what did it say? It said print all letters. After there is a and a B and first there is a and last B. Find the first A and last A, print all letters between these two A. If there is no A or second A is not found, find the first B after the first A. If there is a A and last B, and print all the letters, okay? If no B or second B is found, find the first C after the first B. Oh my God, okay, good. Nalla kuduthirukanga program. Okay, Hari Prasanna. Show me, tell me first what the problem is saying you to do. Like, give with an example, explain to me what you are trying to solve before you go into your code.
மேம் ப்ராப்ளம்ல வந்து ஒரு சென்டென்ஸ் வாங்கிக்கிறோம் மேம். அந்த சென்டென்ஸ்ல வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அதுல ஏ இல்லைன்னா மேம் அதுல வந்து ஏ இல்லைன்னா ஆர் செகண்ட் ஏ நாட் ஃபவுண்டா இருந்துச்சுன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும் மேம்.
ஏ இருந்ததுன்னா எப்படி பண்ணணும், ஏஏ இல்லைன்னா என்ன பண்ணணும்? There is a difference, right? In the second sentence.
மேம் உங்க வாய்ஸ் ஒரு மாதிரி கேட்குது.
சரியா கேட்கலையா? ஓகே. So what I'm saying is, இப்போ let's say சாட்ல போட்டிருக்கேன், இப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா சென்டென்ஸ் என்ன கொடுக்கணும்? நீங்க ஆன்சர் இது கொடுக்கணும், கரெக்டா?
எஸ் மேம்.
ஓகே. இப்ப அதுவே வந்து let's say இப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா what should be the answer? Actually, let me give you more in this. இந்த மாதிரி கொடுக்குறேன்.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து இதுல இருக்க ஏக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்க எல்லாத்தையும் இக்னோர் பண்ணிடும் மேம். லாஸ்ட் ஏ ஃபைண்ட் ஆகல, தென் பி பார்க்கும் மேம். இஎஃப் வரும் மேம் அவுட்புட்ல.
Yes. Why is it not CADBE? CAD. Why is it EF?
சி வாட் மேம்? திஸ் சிஐடி.
இல்ல இல்ல, இப்போ வந்து let's see, இன்னொன்னு கொடுக்குறேன், ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். பிசி இப்படி கொடுக்குறேன், ஒரு நிமிஷம். இப்போ இப்படி கொடுத்தனா why is the answer not CAD but EF?
மேம் பிகாஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து மேம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து அது ஏ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஏ இருக்கான்னு செக் பண்ணும் மேம். லாஸ்ட் ஏ ஃபவுண்ட் ஆகாததுனால இந்த ஏக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்கிறத இக்னோர் பண்ணிடும் மேம்.
Yes, okay.
BC.
That is the part you didn't say before in your homework problem. I was just clarifying that. So if no A is found, you're going to take the first B and last B. But if there is an A found, then you're only going to look at after A. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead. Explain. இப்ப அதே மாதிரி B இல்லைன்னா C. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
அதுவும் வந்து find the C after the first B. அதே லாஜிக், ரைட்?
Yes, ma'am.
இப்போ உங்க ப்ரோக்ராம் எப்படி பண்ணிருக்கீங்க நான் ஷோ காமிங்க.
மேம் நான் வந்து 3 லெட்டர்ஸ் மட்டும் வச்சுக்கிட்டேன் மேம், ஏபிசின்ற கீழே ஃபங்க்ஷன் கீழே. தென் இங்கே வந்து ஃபங்க்ஷனில் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சென்டென்ஸ் இன்புட் வாங்கிக்கிறேன் மேம். தென் ஃபார் லூப் ரோல் பண்ண வரேன். பிகாஸ் 3 லெட்டர்ஸ்னால ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து என் வந்து ஏவா இருக்கும் மேம். இந்த மாதிரி ரன் ஆகும்.
ஓகே.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர்னு ஒரு வேரியபிள்ல வந்து இந்த சென்டென்ஸ்ல அந்த இப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து ஏ ரன் ஆகும்போது ஏ இருக்கான்னு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் பண்ணுவேன். இப்போ வந்து ஏ வந்து மைனஸ், அதாவது ஏ அந்த சென்டென்ஸ்ல இல்லைன்னா இந்த ஃபார் லூப்ல வராது மேம். இஃப் கண்டிஷன்ல வராது மேம்.
வராது. எங்க போகும் அப்போ? எல்ஸ்க்கு போய்டும்.
எஸ் மேம்.
எல்ஸ்க்கு போயிட்டு there is no a ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஃபார் லூப்ல செகண்ட் லெட்டருக்கு வந்துரும்.
எஸ் மேம்.
ஓகே. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர் இருந்ததுன்னா
இருந்துச்சுன்னா இப்ப தென் அடுத்த ஒரு கண்டிஷன் செக் பண்ணுவேன். செகண்ட் அதாவது இன்னொரு லெட்டர் இருக்கான்னு கடைசில இருந்து செக் பண்ணுவேன். லாஸ்ட் லெட்டரும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டரும் ஈக்குவலா இருந்துச்சுன்னா there is only one a அந்த மாதிரி வந்துரும்.
நீங்க கொஞ்சம் வந்து நேமிங்ல வந்து கொஞ்சம் ஒழுங்கா ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணும். லெட்டர்னு போட்டிருக்கீங்க, ஆக்சுவலி லெட்டரோட இண்டெக்ஸ் தானே அது, ரைட்? லெட்டர் இஸ் ஏ, கரெக்ட்? அந்த நேமிங் பண்ணும்போது மேக் ஷூர் யூ கிவ் மீனிங்ஃபுல் நேம்ஸ். ஓகேவா? சோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ் நீங்க கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர் இண்டெக்ஸ் ஆர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இண்டெக்ஸ், ரைட்? அதே மாதிரி லாஸ்ட் லெட்டர் ஆர் லாஸ்ட் லெட்டர் இண்டெக்ஸ். நீங்க லெட்டர்னு கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா இப்ப யாராவது படிக்கும் போது அவங்க என்ன நினைச்சுப்பாங்க? அது ஒரு லெட்டர்னு நினைச்சுப்பாங்கல்ல.
ஓகே மேம். கரெக்ட்டா?
இப்ப லெட்டர்னு பார்த்தா உங்களுக்கு ரெண்டும் ஏஏன்னு தான் வரும். ஆனா இண்டெக்ஸ் வந்து டிஃபரன்ஸ். கரெக்ட்டா? சோ அதனால pay attention when you are naming a variable what it is representing. Okay, go ahead.
இப்போ வந்து அது ரெண்டும் ஈக்குவலா இருந்துச்சுன்னா, அந்த ரெண்டு இண்டெக்ஸ் ஈக்குவலா இருந்துச்சுன்னா there is only one a அந்த மாதிரி வந்துரும் மேம்.
ஓகே. சோ அப்ப சென்டென்ஸ் என்ன பண்றீங்க?
சென்டென்ஸ்ல வந்து ஃபுல்லா, அதாவது சென்டென்ஸ்னா நம்ம ஏற்கனவே இப்ப கொடுத்துருக்க இண்டெக்ஸ்ல இருக்க முன்னாடி இருக்கிற, அதாவது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர்ல இருந்து ஃபுல்லா பிரிண்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். பிரிண்ட் பண்ணல, அதை சென்டென்ஸ்ல ஸ்டோர் பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
அப்ப என்ன ஆகும் அங்க? இப்ப நான் ஏபிசி நம்ம கொடுத்துருக்கிற சென்டென்ஸ் வந்து பிசிஏடிஇ அந்த மாதிரி இருந்ததுன்னா அந்த சென்டென்ஸ் கூட என்ன வரும்?
அந்த ஒரு நிமிஷம்.
I want you to tell me. I don't want you to run the code.
இல்ல மேம், டைப் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கேன்.
நான் கேக்குறேன். சரி. இப்ப நான் வந்து BA ன்னு கொடுத்தேன்னு வெச்சுக்கோங்க. DC. Don't run the code. You tell me now. Don't run the code. BA DC ன்னு வந்ததுன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? First letter will be index வந்து 1 ன்னு வரும். கரெக்ட்டா?
Yes ma'am.
First letter will be 1. Last letter will also be 1. Correcta?
Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
அப்போ if first letter equal to last letter line 30 கிட்ட வந்து ரெண்டு மேட்ச் ஆகும். கரெக்ட்டா?
Yes ma'am.
அப்போ அந்த சென்டென்ஸ்ல என்ன இருக்கும் லைன் 14ல? That's what I want you to understand.
Ma'am, அது வந்து first letterோட இண்டெக்ஸ், அதாவது A ஓட இண்டெக்ஸ்ல இருந்து ATC இது மூணு மட்டும் ஸ்டோர் ஆயிரும்.
First letter plus 1 ஸ்டோர் பண்றீங்க.
சாரி மேம். DC.
புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு பண்ணுங்கம்மா. அதனாலதான் நான் சொல்றேன், யூ ஹாவ் டு நோ கோட். நீங்க வேற இடத்துல இருந்து யாராவது சொன்னாலும் நீங்க இது பண்ணாலும் உங்களுக்கு நான் கேட்கும் போது யூ நீட் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் எவ்ரி லைன். யூ நீட் டு நோ வாட் இஸ் ஹேப்பனிங். தட் இஸ் மோர் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். நீங்க சொந்தமா கோட் எழுதணும் நாங்க எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணல, பட் யூ நீட் டு நோ வாட் யூ ஆர் ரைட்டிங், ரைட்? ஏன் பண்றோம் அந்த மாதிரி? Why
மேம்
are you
ஏன்னா
only taking BC?
பிகாஸ் அதுக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்க லெட்டரை வந்து இக்னோர் பண்ண சொல்லியிருக்காங்க மேம்.
இக்னோர் பண்ணணும்ன்றதுனால நம்மளுடைய புது சென்டென்ஸ் வந்து டிசி தான். இப்ப இதுக்குள்ளதான் நம்ம பி இருக்கான்னு கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். கரெக்டா?
எஸ் மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
அதனால சென்டென்ஸ நீங்க வந்து you're taking after the first letter of A whatever is remaining. So else என்ன
Yes,
பண்ண
ma'am.
so continue பண்றீங்க. அப்போ நெக்ஸ்ட்
Continue.
போய்டும்.
ஃபார் லூப் நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபார் லூப் வரும்.
இல்ல அது கரெக்ட் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா இருக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டரும் லாஸ்ட் லெட்டரும் சேம் இல்லன்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்?
மேம் அது பிரிண்ட் பண்ணிரும் மேம். இப்போ வந்து எனக்குள்ள ஏ இருந்துச்சு, எனக்குள்ள ஏ இருந்துச்சுன்னா டில இருந்து சி வரைக்கும் வரும் மேம். டிசி
எப்படி வரும்? அது மாதிரி ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர் +1 போடுறீங்க.
+1. எஸ் மேம்.
அதனால ஓகேவா?
எஸ் மேம்.
அப்புறம் பிரேக் பண்ணிடணும். ஏன்னா நம்ம கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டோம்.
எஸ் மேம்.
Is everybody following what he did? Any questions in his code? Okay, so now run this code. BADCA க்கு run பண்ணுங்க. இப்போ now run it again with just BADCB. Yeah, there is no scene வந்தது.
மேம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து ஏ பார்க்கும்போதே பி இக்னோர் பண்ணிரும் மேம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பி
கரெக்ட். டிசிபி எடுத்துக்கோ.
எஸ் மேம். டிசிபி இருக்கும் மேம். அந்த இதுல பி செக் பண்ணும்போது இது இந்த பி தான் மேம் பார்க்கும். இதுக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் இக்னோர் பண்ணிரும் மேம். பியோட எல்லாமே சேர்த்து இக்னோர் ஆயிரும் மேம்.
Good. That's why I want to understand if you got it. Okay, perfect. Okay, இப்போ வந்து run your code with run பண்ணுங்க மறுபடியும். இப்போ வந்து run it with ABCA DA DACA.
ரன் பண்ணுவாங்க.
இப்போ என்ன வரணும் நீங்க முதல்ல சொல்லுங்க before you run it.
ஓகே மேம். மேம் பில இருந்து சி வரைக்கும். ஹலோ மேம்.
Yeah, correct. Enter, run. Okay.
Yes ma'am.
So you're finding the last A, correct?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions from Hariprasanna's code? Everybody, did you all understood how it is done? Jaitavya, does it make sense? I know you didn't do the homework.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Suvita, why don't you share your code, what you did for the same problem solving? Thanks, Hariprasanna.
Okay.
And I like that you wrote comments. Keep it up, okay?
Thank
And
you.
make sure you name the variables in a meaningful way. That's the only comment I have for you.
Okay.
And make sure you understand every line exactly what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Suvita? Is Suvita gone? I don't see Suvita anymore. Okay, Deepika,
Yes, ma'am.
can you share what you did for the third problem?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I share it in the mobile, ma'am? Because my PC is getting hangy when
Sure.
I use both Google Meet and okay, ma'am.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to Sivita. I thought she joined the call. Let me see her number. Okay, yeah, I can see your screen, Deepika.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I haven't added a comment line in this one, ma'am. This was, I mean, was like a rough draft, ma'am. I fared it and that is in my system, ma'am. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
Ma'am, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, that is okay. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, here in this function, I have defined a function, ma'am. More or less the procedures are same, but there is a slight difference in the main one, ma'am, main code. Here inside the function, as usual, I'm taking string and alphabet as input, and I have initialized alpha found variable to make sure that the alphabet is found or not. And I have converted the input string into uppercase to avoid case sensitive error in the third line. And here in the fourth line, I'm finding the first occurrence of the alphabet in the given string. And if the first letter is found, then I'm finding the second occurrence of that particular alphabet in the line number 6, ma'am. Then again, if both the indexes are not equal, then I'm printing the all other characters between those two indexes in the line number 8, ma'am.
Okay.
So if that has happened, I will the alpha found variable will become true here, ma'am.
Okay.
If the second one is not found, it will come to line number 11, where we will be printing there is only one alphabet is found in the given string.
Okay.
And if the first index itself is not found, then we will be coming to line number 13, ma'am, which will print no particular alphabet in the given string, ma'am.
Okay.
So here in the line number 14, I have made the first occurrence variable to be 0. I will explain it later in the main code, ma'am.
Okay.
Then I'm returning alpha found boolean value and the first occurrence in integer value from this function, ma'am.
Okay.
So in the main code, in the line number 20, as usual, we are getting the input. And I have initialized the for loop in the line number 22, ma'am, to run between the range 0 and 26.
Okay.
Here I have initialized a variable called alpha, where I will be storing the ASCII values of every alphabets, ma'am. ASCII value of capital A is 65. So when the loop starts, it's 65. And when it gets iterated, I will become 1 and the ASCII value will become 66, which is corresponding to alphabet capital B, ma'am. So it goes on like that, ma'am. So I have called the function in the line number 24 with the two variables, result and first index, to get alpha found and the first occurrence respectively from the function. Then here in the line number 26, if we have not found, if we have not found both the alphabets or if the alphabet is not at all present, then the function will come to then the program will come to line number 27, ma'am, where we will be slicing it according to the first index found, ma'am. So here, in our first case, if we have found both the alphabet, then it will be true, ma'am. Result will be true. So it will come to line number 30 and break out of loop. If it is case 2 where there is only one variable found, only one alphabet found, then here we will be getting result as false and first index as the integer value where we found the alphabet for the first time. Then from there it will slice, ma'am. Here comes the third case where if there is no alphabet found at all, first occurrence value will be -1. So if I use the same value here to slice, then I will not get any string out of it. So to prevent that, I have made first occurrence to be 0 in the line number 14 itself, ma'am.
Good.
So that's all about this program.
Okay, scroll down now. So scroll down, somebody else break. Okay, okay, good. So if let's say you don't want to do all these conversions, alpha, character, and all that, and you want to give the values A to Z, how would you write it?
If I want to give the values directly, ma'am, in that case, we can either initialize a list or array like that and add manually A, B, C until Z to it. Then we can iterate over that, ma'am.
Very good. Very good. Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure you understood how you will solve if you don't have to do this. Okay. Perfect. I like it. So
Thank you.
I know the only thing is comments are missing, but the way you explained, I really loved it. You were very clear about what exactly is happening, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, put you guys done. Don't think Suvita is on the call. Okay, I think I went through everybody at this point. Any questions about functions for anybody
Ma'am, shall I
before
stop
I go
sharing, ma'am?
into? Yeah, you can stop sharing. Do you have any questions before I go into the Lambda functions? Does anybody know Lambda functions in Python? Have you tried it? Before going into Lambda, is everybody clear about everything? So I would expect every one of you who is attending this class to make sure you finish your homework, problem 1, 2, 3. Some of you finished, some of you didn't finish. Everybody should be finishing the homework and be sending it to your Git or GitHub to Chitra or wherever you send usually. Is that understood? Can everybody do that? Is there anything else you need to understand before you can do that? Any questions? Last chance. Okay. I think everybody understands, right? Okay. So I am going to share my screen to show you the Lambda functions now. Okay. Let me see. I think I need to share my other screen. One second. Okay. So okay. Can everybody see my window where I'm sharing lambda.py? Can everybody
Yes,
see my
ma'am.
screen
Yes, ma'am.
properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to tell you is, if let's say you all know how to write functions now, correct? You can just say, you can write functions. You all just did it, right? In 3 problems. So now I'm going to introduce you to the Lambda function. So what is a Lambda function? Basically, it is in the one line, you are giving entire code for the function so that you can have repetitively, you can invoke it with various constants. I'll show you how it is done. Okay. So like, let's say, for example, I'm just doing, remove this for a second. If I say print hello world and I call this, right? I cannot do this, right? I have to write a function called greet. Hold on one second. Let me undo this. Okay. So if let's say I'm going to, so let's say I'm writing a function called greet. Okay. In the greet function, I am going to write, so my definition of the greet is print hello world. Okay. So, and now I call the function greet. Is this valid? It's valid, correct? So if I just do it, what happens? I have a function is called do this print statement. So correct? So instead, if the same thing, I want to write it as a lambda function, this is how I need to do it. Yep. Now what function is the function word because you can write it now. and word.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
That okay, I am going to now change my, hold on, my options. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I'm saying is, instead of writing the function like this, which you all know, definition of greet is print hello world, I wrote it in one line here, right? Greet equals the word lambda colon whatever I want to do. Is everybody following this? Then I'm calling that as if I defined a function greet. So it is doing exactly what I asked it to do. When I invoke this function, it's saying the greet is a lambda function and it says print hello world. So the print hello world is printed. Everybody following up till this? Yes? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to tell you what's the difference. See, right now there is no difference between the two, correct? It's exactly the same. So now I'm going to do, I am going to define a new function called greet user. Okay. And in this, I'm going to say, okay, print hello, comma name. Okay. So what am I doing here now? I can also do it here, right? I can define a user input here, name, and then I can print that, right? So I am saying here, greet user Anu. So what is happening now? I'm sending a parameter called Anu for this particular thing. And I'm telling here in the Lambda function, the name is sent for this particular function. When the name is sent, you do print hello Anu, right? So if I run this, what will happen now? It's going to say hello Anu. So I can change this now to like, Chitra, right? So it's going to say hello Chitra, right? So you can also do that here, right? You can also do that here. You all know that, right? So I can say, can I not do that here? And then I can say print how do I write this? Hello name. Right? So I can write like this. Instead, now I'm introducing a concept of a variable here. The lambda is given the variable name here, and I'm doing it here. So do you see the difference between how we are writing lambda function versus the regular function? Any questions so far? Okay. So now I'm going to, go ahead.
Ma'am, is this used only for online function? இப்போ ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷனுக்குள்ள
Right.
நம்ம ரெண்டு
Inline
மூணு லைன்
function.
யூஸ்
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
I'll show you how why the lambda is useful. Okay, I'm going to go there next. Then just bear with me 1 second. Yes, it's going to be one line function only. So now the power of this is, if let's say I want to say hello whoever from Sayur, let's say, how would I do it? I have to then put in here from Sayur, correct? Yes. So if let's say when I do this, run the function greet, it's going to say hello Anu from Sayur, right? So I can also do the same thing here from Sayur. Okay. So then if I send it, it's going to say hello Anu from Sayur, hello Chitra from Sayur by doing this. So now let's say instead of that, I am going to put here company. Okay. So I am going to say, I'm going to send here. So what did I do here? I'm saying this lambda will have two variables, and I'm going to print the name and the company here, right? So now if I say greet user, okay, Chitra, comma, so I can say Sayur greet user, okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's do this like company. Simple, let's keep it simple. Okay. So I'm going to do here. I'm going to run this function, and I'm going to have one more. So what do you think is happening here? Can anybody tell me what will happen if I do this? So what am I doing here? I have one function called greet user, correct? Which says hello and then from who, whatever the company, correct? From this function, I redefined two functions. One is Sayur greet user, another one is Google greet user. But I'm using the same function greet user, but I'm saying for this company, use the company name. So when I run this, what happened here? Did I make a... It was the error. It was saying hello from Sayur. What is the error I'm getting? I'm not under users git rep lambda. It did print, right? Hello Anu from Sayur. Okay, let me comment this out and see what exactly is happening. So hello from Sayur got printed, right? But then why is it giving an error? I don't understand why it's giving an error. Print hello company. Let's put this first and see what happens. Maybe Google will also get me an error. Do I have to say string here? Yeah, don't give a string here. Okay, I don't know why the string is not working. Okay, so let's ignore this. I will go to that later. I don't know why it's not working. But okay, so let's look at this function now. So if let's say I am defining a function called double, so then what am I doing here? In the double function, I'm saying whatever somebody sends, return 2 star n, right? So if I am calling double of 7, okay, 1 second. I don't know why that didn't work. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's just comment this. No, let's do this. Okay. So when I run this, I'm going to get the answer. Oh, I commented this double of 7. Okay. So double of 7 is 14, right? Why didn't, oh, return. Okay. So print double of 7. Let's print 2 star n. Okay. Okay, so you can see that if I write double of n, it's printing the answer 14, right? So if I have to write triple, right, then I will write a function called triple, right? And then I have to say again print 3 star n. So if I have to keep doing double, triple, quadruple, I have to write separate functions for each of them, correct? So if I have to do triple of 7, okay, so I have to write another function called triple where I'm saying 3 star. Instead, this is where I'm going to show you what we can do is we can write a lambda function. Okay. In the lambda function, what I'm going to do is I am saying whenever somebody sends A, multiply A with n. That's all I'm doing here. Okay. I'm not saying do double or triple. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is my doubler function is my function of 2. My tripler function is my function of 3. So any number I send, it is going to be multiplied by that number. So if I want my quadruple, I can say my function of 4. Do you guys understand what's the difference? I wanted to prove it with the string and I don't know why I'm getting errors, but I'm just showing it with the numbers. Okay. So I can now say, instead of print, I'm going to return. Okay. Here I can just leave it. It's just printing it, right? Okay. I'm showing you this function. Print this time. So now, if I am going to write the lambda function as a unique function, like a generic function to multiply it with n I am changing here. I'm changing it to 2, I'm changing it to 3, I'm changing it to 4. So now if I print my doubler of 7, my tripler of 7, and I print my quadruple of 7, okay, I'm going to get my answers 14, 21, 28. Do you understand how the lambda function is kind of changing? So basically, you're defining a generic function and then you are changing the version of that function based on that value n. That is what I was trying to do with the string, saying like I'm saying hello from Google or hello from Sayur and so on. But I don't have to figure out why the string is not working. But do you understand what lambda function power is? Does it make sense? Do I still have you all? Any questions? Okay, Jay Kumar, did you understand what I just talked, teached?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have to come up with a function, what is a sample function you can come up with? So maybe let me ask you this. So let's say you're writing a tip function, okay? My function is going to be, if I given the bill, I need to give the how much tip to pay. One, I want to have it for 10% and the other one to 15% and the other one to 20%. So how would I write it? Jaykumar, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So so when you have to calculate tip, what will you do? So let's say the 100 rupees is the bill. So what is the tip for 100 rupees if it is 10%? How would you calculate it?
Amount into 0.2.
Hmm?
Amounts are 0.2.
Amount. Okay. So let's say, so this will be when I'm writing the function, right? I'm writing a function for tip, right? Tip function. I can say return lambda, right? Amount anupchangana. What am I multiplying it by?
0.1.
0. What?
1.
1. So only if it is 10%. But if I have to write this function so that I can call it for 10%, 15%, 20%, let's say that is what I'm sending in n. How would you write it? N divided by? Sorry? 100. Right? So my tip function is saying, given the amount, I'm calculating the percentage based on the percentage that they sent. I want to find the amount, right? So now if I have to write function for 10% calculation, 15%, 20%, 3 functions I want. How would I write it? So let's say maybe somebody else can answer this. So maybe let me pick Pushpa. So how would you write tip 10%? What will be my function?
Ma'am, can you repeat it again?
So I defined a tip function, a lambda function, saying given the amount, the tip calculation is amount times n by 100, right? I'm writing it generically, depending on what the percentage is, use that, multiply that amount by 100, correct? So if I want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
define a function to calculate 10% tip, how would I write my function? So I just explained how lambda function works and how you can redefine it, right? So how would I write my tip 10% function? Anybody else?
Tip function of 10, ma'am.
Sorry?
Tip function of 10.
Yes. Tip function of 10, right? Then if I want to write tip 15%, how would I write it?
Tip function of 15.
And if I have to write 20%,
Tip function of 20.
okay. Is everybody following this? Lalita, does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now some people give me some other examples. Any other example that you can think of that you have done solved in your problems that you want to find? Do you realize it's like it's different calculation, right? But you are kind of defining it in the lambda function, in the inline statement. The inline statement is so powerful because you can just calculate it within the loop instead of like, in a single line. That is the reason why lambda function is powerful. You can definitely look into all the different multiple things you can do. It's similar to regular expression. This is also very powerful. Can anybody think of any other example that we can try? So now if I want to print my tip, how would I call it? If I want to print for 100 rupees, my tip for 10%, 15%, 20%, maybe Deepika, tell me how would you write the print statement?
Can you repeat the numbers again, ma'am?
100 rupees, my amount is 100 rupees. Okay, I want
Okay,
to
ma'am.
print my tips for all 3 tiers.
Okay, ma'am. Then we shall do it like tip 10% of 100.
Okay.
Then in the next line, as print tip 15 of 100.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Similarly, tip 20.
Okay. Is it correct? Because I use give 10, 100 because it's easy to see if its value is correct, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if it is like, let's say 250. Right? You get the idea. Okay. Any other example anybody can think of that you can modify?
Ma'am, for sorting, ma'am.
Okay. So what do you want to do? What function do you want to write?
Just we can sort of numbers, ma'am. Sorting function. Sort.
Sorry, say that again. Lalita, you were saying something? Hello?
You have asked, ma'am, what else we
Yeah,
can calculate?
yeah. So what function do you want to define? Give me example.
Like some sorting, ma'am. Sort.
Sharping. Okay. What? Give me the function.
Short.
Short.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, short. SORT, ma'am. Sorting.
Oh, sort. Okay.
Sort.
Sort what?
Some numbers, ma'am. List of numbers.
Okay. List. Okay. Like, how are you doing the sort, lambda sort within that? I'm not following. So maybe why don't you like write something and show it to me?
No, ma'am. Actually, you asked, ma'am, what else we can calculate. For that, I just told, can we use sorting, ma'am.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Any other examples?
Ma'am.
Yes.
மேம் மேம் எனக்கு இத கரெக்டா எப்படி சொல்லன்னு தெரியல பட் இந்த பில் கால்குலேஷன்லாம் பண்ணுவோம்ல மேம் சூப்பர் மார்க்கெட்ஸ் இல்லைன்னா ஏதோ ஒரு ஐஸ்கிரீம் ஃபிளேவர்ஸ் அங்க வந்துட்டு லைக் நம்ம ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்துட்டு அந்த பர்டிகுலர் ஐட்டமோட நம்பரை ஐ மீன் அமௌண்ட்டை வந்துட்டு நம்ம டிஃபைன் பண்ணிட்டு நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபங்க்ஷன் கால் பண்ணும்போது we can specify the quantity and we can thereby return the amount, I mean sales amount, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Good. So basically, the lambda function, the whole point is it is faster because it's in an inline function, right? That's the whole thing. So if you go into Google and find out all the different things that you can do with lambda, not only redefining the function, it's also like so many things that you can do inline. That is where you're going to learn more about lambda function. And I think I can give some, so like for example, if you're writing, see, I'm trying to find some examples for you. So basically, when you think about lambda function, you don't even have to give a name, and also they are like, within one line of statement, right? They're simple functions. You're not going to write complicated functions, right? It's always going to be very simple inline statement. That is where you're going to do it. So like, for example, if let's say you are making it upper, right? So you can say upper equals lambda, some string somebody is sending, you're making it upper, right? You call like this, right? Upper. So that is your function now, right? So if you say print upper of mango, it's going to print the upper mango, right? So anything that you can write in one line, instead of defining a function, you can do it like this. That's what the whole point is. Okay, so then I'm trying to see if there are any examples. Hold on, let me give you some homework for lambda. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you. So let's say I want to print, given an integer, given a number, okay, I want to add one and print it. How do you think? Who wants to try that lambda? We'll just do small examples so that you will have the basics. So I don't even want to define a function. My number is 5. Okay. So I want to do a print of, in one line, I want to write a lambda function. So how would I write the lambda function for printing 6 now? I want to add 1 to it. So I'm going to pick somebody. Let's see. Daniel, how do you think you're going to write this lambda function? I want to print 6. Yes.
Print A.
So I have lambda here. So lambda க்கு அப்புறமா என்ன வரணும்?
lambda க்கு அப்புறம் increment மேம் நேம் கொடுக்கணும்.
ஒரு நேம் x கொடுக்கறோம். இங்க என்ன வரணும்? என்ன பிரிண்ட் பண்ண போறோம்?
A+1.
அவ்வளவுதான். Right? That's it. You got it. என்னாச்சுங்க? X. This is what it is. Why is it not printing? Given a number, you want to add 1, right? A plus அது இதுவா மாத்தணுமா ஸ்ட்ரிங்கா மாத்தணுமா இல்லையே
Ma'am,
actually நம்ம
ma'am,
நம்பர்
இங்க
வந்து
X
ஏ தானே
வாங்கிட்டீங்க.
மேம் எஸ் மேம்
ரைட் சோ இங்க வந்து ஏ அனுப்புறோமா நம்ம
எஸ் மேம்
ஓகே லைக் திஸ் இல்லையே ஓகே இதுக்கு நான் வந்து என்ன அனுப்பணும்ல லைக் திஸ் how do I send that value if I send it like this how do I send the value though oh I have to have print like this yes அந்த பிரிண்ட்க்கு parenthesis கொடுக்காதனால திட்டுச்சு ஓகே சோ இது வந்து ஃபங்க்ஷன் ரைட் ஐ திங்க் ஐ ஃபிகர்ட் அவுட் எக்ஸ்னா எக்ஸ் பிளஸ் 1 பண்ணுன்னு சொல்றோம் கரெக்டா அதுக்கு ஆர்குமெண்ட் என்ன அனுப்புறோம் இந்த 5 அனுப்புறோம் so I think I can do 5 or a also I think let me try yeah it works right so I am saying I didn't give a name for this function I just defined given x the result is what x plus 1 புரிஞ்சுதா and I am invoking it for this particular a so a ல என்ன வேல்யூ இருக்கோ அது x ஆகி ஆன்சர் வந்து x plus 1 வருது does that make sense now what mistake we made right so you are basically defining a function so if you see this is the definition of the function just this alone right the definition says if x is passed do x plus 1 correct in the function you are sending a does it make sense to everybody so if I have to add 2 what will I do Deepika if I have to add 2 what will I do
Ma'am, simply we can change that 1 to 2, ma'am.
2 right so in one
Yes, ma'am.
without writing a function in my print statement I had this power to do this right so before writing so maybe sometimes you're writing a you're printing a but before printing a maybe you want to convert it to upper let's say you guys were writing like let's say this is like a hello right this is your answer but instead of writing your hello like that maybe you want to do something to it maybe you want to only write the first 2 characters or something like that you can do that here you can say given x you want to only do what is that left of ஏதோ இருக்குமே left function என்னது string ஓட left function இருக்கா if you want to only do 3 characters how would you write it substring என்ன பண்ணுவோம் who knows the string functions
Ma'am, first 3 characters, ma'am.
ஆமா என்ன
And then,
பண்ணுவோம்
ma'am, அந்த ஸ்ட்ரிங்குக்குள்ள நம்ம அந்த ஸ்கொயர் பிராக்கெட்ஸ்க்குள்ள கோலன் வச்சு 3 கொடுத்தோம்னா வந்துரும் ma'am.
okay colon 3 so I'm saying here if it's x give x colon 3 right so hold on let me see right so x கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா only print 3 characters ன்னு சொல்றேன் கரெக்டா but my answer is hello so what will happen now for this it's going to print only h here so see the power of lambda function here does this make sense So this is how you write lambda function. So இப்போ வந்து let's say we want to write an if statement. If statementல வந்து let's say this is true. Okay. Or let's say numbers வச்சே பண்ணலாம். Let's say this is 15. Okay. இப்போ what you want to do is if the number is greater than 10, greater than or equal to 10, you want to say it is a double digit number. Otherwise, you want to say it is a single digit number. How would you write the lambda function? Who wants to attempt? Suvita. Did you understand the problem? I want to write it is a single digit. Otherwise, I want
Excuse
to...
me, ma'am. 1 minute, ma'am. Suvita was actually traveling, ma'am.
Oh, Suvita is
Her
sorry.
her phone battery was not up to a limit, and network issues
Okay,
was also there. So I think she lost connection.
Okay, okay. Then let me ask somebody else. Okay, Jay Kavya, how would you write it? So what do you have? Check.
X less than
So I want to say it's a double digit when, what is
X.
your if statement? If?
X less than 10.
No, double digit if its x is greater than or equal to 10, right?
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Sorry.
So else, right?
A கொடுக்கணும்.
Ah. Right? So now I'm saying if this number that is being passed is greater than or equal to 10, it's double digit. Otherwise, it is single digit. Right? That's what I'm printing here. Typo பண்ணிருக்கோம். Oh, இது sorry. We can முன்னாடி வந்து ஸ்ட்ரிங்கா கொடுத்திருந்தோம்ல இதை எடுத்துறேன். Okay. So what is it saying? It's still giving an error. Object is not callable. Why?
Ma'am.
Oh, parenthesis.
Yes, ma'am.
இங்க படிக்கணும். Yeah. Okay. So print to the parenthesis inga mudichitan tappilla. So print to the parenthesis is the yellow parenthesis. Ullukulla we are writing a function called lambda, and you are using that lambda function to use a as the input. Okay. Does this make sense to everybody? So I can write if else statement within the lambda function, but it's still a single line. I can only do single lines. Right? So இப்போ வந்து let's say I want to do if a number is less than 5 something, greater than 5 something, and greater than 10 something. So I need 3 statements, let's say. I still can do it within a lambda because I can just put a comment, right? So within else, I can also do one more if else, right? So if let's say I want to do this, basically I want to say if x is greater than 10, I want to return x times 10. And let's say if x is less than 5, I want to return x star 5. Otherwise, I want to return x. Let's say. Okay. How would you write it? My print. So somebody else do it. So print my lambda function. It's going to call x. So how would I write it? Who can answer?
X star 10. If x greater than 10.
Yeah.
X star 5.
So else kulla இன்னொரு if எழுதணும். Right? So இதுக்குள்ள if it is x star 5, if x is less than 5, else x. Right? And then you're going to call this with the number, whatever number you want to call. like let's say 11 for the example, right? So I'm going to take this off. So I wrote a condition where if x is greater than 10, do this, else again check is if x is less than 5 or else, right? Oh, sorry, if x is greater than 5. Yeah. No, greater than 5 or less than 5. I know which greater than less than 5. Right? So I can write an if else, a nested if else statement within the same line in the lambda function. I can do that also. Make sense? Okay, so let's see anything else we want to do. Oh, there is another useful example. I'm just looking at it. So let's say your list is made up of some bunch of numbers. Okay. So you want to, from this list, only take the numbers that are greater than 10. So then there is a function you can write with filter function like this. So only if it is greater than 10, you are going to take that number from that list. You're going to filter out the numbers that you want that are greater than 10. So 33, 44, and 11 will be the ones that will come for this. Okay. So if you want, you can make a new list. So this might be a new list, which you are going to make it with tuple, and you're filtering out these numbers. Okay. So now you can print your new list, I think. Let's try this. See that now? So you can do filtering conditions using the lambda like this. So I know you must have done some homework where you want to only pick certain things, right? So you can write a lambda function to do that, to get the things from the list. So this is another example. So anyway, I think there are a lot of things, and there is the most powerful is the map function. So the map function, what it does is it basically, it does it in like a parallelly. That is where, if you go into big data and everything, I don't know if they teach you big data concepts in your classes, but basically instead of doing sequentially everything, you are doing things in parallel. You're going to do it like, completely on every, if you have a bigger problem, you're basically going to solve it by parallelly processing and getting all the results and putting it together. So that is where this lambda function becomes very, very, very powerful. Okay. So I don't know if you go into data frame, pandas, and all that in the future when you're doing some projects, that's when this will become a very powerful map function where you use the lambda. Map and lambda is going to be very powerful. Right now, I don't want to go into those concepts, but at least did you all understand how lambda functions work? That's my whole concept. One is you can redefine, as I told you, you can redefine the functions by using this, or you can just write, call these functions. You don't have to name it, right? You can use it inline. You can use it within the filter. You can use it within the print. You don't have to do it like a separate function, define it, and then call it. That is the main advantage of using these. These are called anonymous functions, right? You don't have a name to this function. You just use this function within a print statement, right? You didn't give a name to it, correct? So that is the main significance of a lambda function. Any questions? I know, we only touched upon the basics of lambda, but there are so many things that you can do with the lambda. And you can also do your own research and see what other lambda functions exist and how you can do it. Hopefully, you all got the basics of lambda function. Any questions? No questions? Everybody understood how the functions work? So basically, if you think about lambda, there are three parts of a lambda function. The key word is you have to define the function called lambda. You have to write the word lambda, right? Then you have parameters. The parameters can be multiple parameters also. You don't have to have only one parameter, right? You can have multiple parameters. That is something we talked about. And then the other thing is you have to write whatever you want within a single line. It can be a if statement, it can be a calculation, it can be a filtering, it can be whatever it is, but all of them has to be in a single line. That is the main structure of a lambda function. What else? I'm trying to see. Any other questions? Anybody? No questions? Did everybody get a chance to look at the presentation that they did for that climate tech project? I think I asked last time too. I don't know, some of you saw, some of you didn't. Did everybody get a chance to look at it? Cecilia, did you see the project?
Ma'am, I saw the presentation that day, ma'am.
Okay. So what did you think? Did you like it?
Yes, ma'am. It is really nice, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so what's the feedback for today's class? Lalita, what's the feedback?
Ma'am, I can able to clearly understand that lambda function, ma'am.
Okay.
It's very clear, ma'am, actually.
Hmm.
What I feel is I couldn't able to share and I couldn't able to say that's a problem, ma'am.
Okay.
That's what I was feel that it is.
Okay.
Sorry
So,
for that, ma'am. Actually, what I did is I have combined that two problem in the same code, ma'am. So that I can't able to show you that a particular first program alone. From the next time I will split that, ma'am, into first problem. I will write separately the course. I will make it.
okay.
that, ma'am.
No. So now let's say I put in the chat, if you have to create a lambda function that multiplies x and y and prints the result, how would you write it?
For adding two numbers, we can use.
So let's say I'm writing, I'm sharing my screen again. I have two numbers, okay? So my A is 10, my B is 12. I want to print adding the two numbers, but I want to use lambda function. How would I write it? So there are two arguments.
Lambda.
Okay. So let's say result. Result is equal to lambda.
X is to comma y.
X comma y.
Y
Yes.
is to x plus y.
That's it. That's it. I just want to make sure we reiterate, like it doesn't have to be one argument, right? It can be multiple arguments also. So then when I invoke this, how am I going to do? So let's say I'm printing, I don't want to like just have that function. So I can just now say print result of, how would I call it for AB? What would I pass the result? Result is a function now, right? Which will add two numbers. So
A
when I
comma
have
B, ma'am.
that's it. Exactly. Right? That's exactly correct. Don't be hesitant. It's okay if you make a mistake, right? So now let's say I'm asking you the lambda to write, add just 10 to every number. How would you write it? I want to add 10 to every number. So what is my answer?
N plus 10, ma'am.
That's it. And if I'm invoking it for 7, how would I do it? Oops. Result 2 of what? If I want to invoke it for the number 9, let's say. I can just put 9 here, right?
9.
That's it, right? Or I can have a variable and use that variable. It doesn't matter. Correct? Correct? Makes sense how lambda works? Okay, good. What else I was going to ask? Okay, so who else? Anybody else wants to share? Saiswaran.
What?
Feedback.
நீங்க லாம்டா பத்தி லேர்ன் பண்ணிட்டேன். ஹோம்ஒர்க் வந்து சில பேர் பண்ணிருந்தாங்க. சில டிஃப்ரெண்டான கான்செப்ட்ஸ் இப்படியும் பார்க்கலாம்ன்ற ஒரு லேர்ன் பண்ணிட்டேன். லாம்டால இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் லேர்ன் பண்ணுற மாதிரி தோணும். அதை கத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா கொஞ்சம் ஈஸியா பண்ணலாம். ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் கான்செப்ட்.
Okay. So I'm going to give one more. Okay, that's good. So Jay Kavya, what's the feedback? She's not there. Deepika. Deepika, what's the feedback? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I learned a lot today, ma'am. I got clarity over inline function and this lambda function, ma'am, because I personally had doubts over inline function. So I got clarified over here, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So there is one program I'm going to give you. Okay. So basically, this is an example. I think I can use this as a homework for everybody. So you have a Python program, okay, to sort a list of tuples. So tuples is, so you know what a tuple is. You already all of you did the tuples, right? So let's say I have a list, okay. The list is apple, comma 50, okay. Let's say orange. I'm going to put it in the chat, okay? And then you guys can write this as per your homework. Orange, comma 15. Let's say I have, let's see what else. Mango, okay? Mango, comma, let's give 30. Okay, so let's say I have an example like this. Okay, so this list can be sorted by price or by alphabetical name. Correct? I can sort it as apple, mango, orange, apple 50, mango 30, orange 15. If I sort it by the name of the fruit, correct? Yes. Or I can also sort it by the price. Price meaning orange is the cheapest, right? Orange 15, mango 30, and apple 50. So if I have to sort a tuple using either the name or the cost, right? I want to do it by the name or the cost. Think about how would you write a lambda function to sort it. Okay, that's your problem. Okay, I'm not going to give the answer. You can easily Google it and find the answer, but I want you to understand how it will work when you do it. Okay, good problem to solve. Or you can take an example of your subject comma marks. You can either sort by subject or by your marks, ascending or descending order. Okay, see how it will work. Do you understand the problem? Any questions? Okay, so I want you to use lambda functions, and that lambda function should be able to sort by name or sort by cost. புரிஞ்சதா எல்லாருக்கும்? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So dictionary கத்துக்கிட்டீங்களா எல்லாரும்? Do you all know dictionary? I know I didn't go through dictionary with you. Did Chitra teach you dictionaries? Yes or no? Does anybody know what dictionary is? Daniel, do you know what dictionary is?
Ma'am,
Dictionary.
collection of different data type.
Right. நீங்க எல்லாரும் வந்து அந்த கெஃபே ப்ராப்ளம் பண்ணீங்க கரெக்டா? அந்த கெஃபே ப்ராப்ளம்ல என்ன பண்ணீங்க? ஒரு லிஸ்ட்ல வந்து ஐட்டம்ஸ் வச்சிருந்தீங்க, இட்லி வடா காஃபின்னு. இன்னொரு லிஸ்ட்ல அதனோட பிரைசஸ் வச்சிருந்தீங்க, இன்னொரு லிஸ்ட்ல அதனோட குவான்டிட்டி வச்சிருந்தீங்க கரெக்டா?
Yes, ma'am.
அது டிக்ஷனரியில பண்ணணும்னா எப்படி பண்ணுவீங்க தெரியுமா உங்களுக்கு? Okay, நிறைய டைம் இல்ல, so I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? I think I'm still sharing my screen, correct? Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm like, you have to talk, otherwise I wouldn't know. So இங்க வந்து நான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கேன்? I have put a brand, a car உடைய brand name, model name, year. So இது வந்து நான் வந்து 3 லிஸ்டா போட்டிருக்கலாம். டொயோட்டா, ஹோண்டான்னு சொல்லிட்டு, மாடல் வந்து கொரோலா, சிவிக் ஆடிசி, இயர் வந்து 1995, 2005, 2020ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அப்போ வந்து நீங்க வந்து எப்படி உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது இட்லியோட பிரைஸ் வந்து 20 ரூபான்னு சொல்லிட்டு? பை பொசிஷன், கரெக்ட்? You had idli vada coffee, then you had 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 50 rupees na first cost வந்து இட்லிக்கு, செகண்ட் இது வடைக்கு அப்படின்னு புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்க கரெக்டா? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but instead here we can define dictionary with idli, name idli, cost 50, quantity 30 அப்படின்னு நீங்க போட்டு ஒரு டிக்ஷனரியில போட்டீங்கன்னா you don't have to know the position of the item. You will know by இட்லின்ற கீயை வச்சு நீங்க அதனோட காஸ்ட்டுக்கு அதனோட குவான்டிட்டிக்கு போகலாம். அதுதான் டிஃபரன்ஸ். ஸோ இங்க வந்து நீங்க நிறைய லிஸ்ட் வச்சுக்காம எத்தனை உங்களுக்கு அந்த இட்லியோடைய ஆட்ரிபியூட்ஸ் வேணுமோ, குவான்டிட்டி வேணுமா, ரீஆர்டர் குவான்டிட்டி வேணுமா, காஸ்ட் வேணுமா, பிரைஸ் வேணுமா, ப்ராஃபிட் வேணுமா, எல்லாத்தையுமே அந்த ஒரு ஐட்டத்தினுடைய இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ல நீங்க போட்டுடலாம். That is the main power of dictionary. Okay, so dictionary is nothing but you are putting together the information, right? So இப்போ இங்க வந்து நான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கேன்? 3 கார் டிஃபைன் பண்ணிருக்கேன். காருடைய ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் என்னென்ன வச்சிருக்கேன்? பிராண்ட், மாடல், இயர். செகண்ட் கார் வந்து பிராண்ட், மாடல், இயர்ஸ். தேர்ட் கார் வந்து பிராண்ட், மாடல், இயர். ஐ கேன் ஈவன் நேம் திஸ் as something meaningful. So இப்போ உங்களுடைய இட்லி வடை காஃபில if I am printing, so let me clear the screen 1 second. So car 1, car 2, car 3. இதுதான் என்னுடைய keys, right? My keys are car 1, car 2, car 3. So நீங்க வந்து இங்க இட்லி அப்படின்னு போட்டுக்கலாம், காஃபின்னு போட்டுக்கலாம், வடைன்னு போட்டுக்கலாம். And then you can have your own names, right? Quantity, cost, whatever you can define. So புரிஞ்சுதா எப்படி டிக்ஷனரி கிரியேட் பண்ணுவீங்கன்னு கெஃபே ப்ராப்ளம்க்கு? Any questions on that? ஸோ நான் இங்க வந்து எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இப்போ வந்து மெனு நீங்க இப்படி தானே பண்ணீங்க, மெனு, பிரைஸ், ஸ்டாக், சேல்ஸ், ப்ராஃபிட், அப்புறம் கஸ்டமர் இன்புட் கொடுத்துட்டு நீங்க வந்து உள்ள போயிட்டு என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணீங்க, ரைட்? யூ டிட் சம் கால்குலேஷன்ஸ். ஸோ நவ் இன்ஸ்டெட் வந்து நீங்க இந்த ஐட்டம்ஸ் இந்த எத்தனை வச்சிருக்கேன் நான் இதுல 3 மெனு, பிரைஸ், ஸ்டாக், சேல்ஸ், ப்ராஃபிட், இந்த நான் 5 ஐட்டம் வச்சிருக்கேன். இதை நான் எப்படி போடலாம் டிக்ஷனரியில போயிட்டு? ஸோ ஐ கேன் கிவ் யூ an example. Let's say I print it here. So I can say my items. Okay. So first வந்து என்ன? வடை. So I can say vadai. Vadaiuடைய price, right? The first thing is price. So price is 10. Okay. Tell me somebody else what's the next thing I will have? What is my next attribute? Pushpa. I put price for vadai is 10. What is my next attribute?
T, ma'am.
Huh? இல்ல வடையுடையதே இன்னும் இருக்கே. பிரைஸ், ஸ்டாக், சேல்ஸ், ப்ராஃபிட் 4 லிஸ்ட் இருக்குல்ல.
Sorry, ma'am.
Right?
Stock. Yes,
So
ma'am. Stock.
Stock, and then I will have sales, right? And then
Yes,
I will
ma'am.
have profit.
Profit. Yes.
So what I'm doing here, I can track now whatever is happening within this. So my stock is, my price is 10, stock is 50,
50.
right? And my sales is starting la 0 இருக்கும். Then I can
0.
add sales, and the sales ஆக I can put the add the sales, right? Let's say I sold 50 vadas, my sales will be 50, right? And the profit can be like, for every vada I sell, maybe my profit is 4, right? So I can keep track of that. 4 rupees profit எனக்கு ஒரு வடை செல் பண்ணனான்னு வெச்சுக்கோ. So maybe I'm just giving whatever you want, you can define here, right? Similarly, I will make similar thing for the other ones, right? So I will have one for tea, right? So now what did I do? Instead of having 4 separate lists, I'm having one, right? So again, this will be, my price will be 12, my stock will be 45, my sales is 0, my profit is 5 rupees, right? So that's for my tea. Then I have one for my coffee, correct? So this last one is for my coffee. Coffee வந்து price வந்து 15. Then I have my stock is 40. And then my profit is 6. So do you see, instead of having these 5 lists, I made it into dictionary of one dictionary with my items. Does it make sense to everybody how dictionary works? So now when I print my keys, what will be my keys? My keys will be vadai, tea, and coffee. Right? Make sense? So now you can access T dot price, T dot stock, T dot sales, T dot profit within your thing. So instead of writing your cafe problem, right, where you used lists and you use those positional indexes, you can change it into using dictionaries, you will refer them. So now every time you don't have to know what your position of tea is. You can just say, oh, I sold 100 tea, so I'm going to add my tea sales, I'm going to make it into 100 plus 100. புரிஞ்சுதா? So whatever you did, you all solved the cafe problem. I want you to now solve using dictionary. That is another problem statement you have for homework you have for this week. Okay? So solve cafe problem using dictionary instead of different lists. Did everybody understand this problem also? I showed you how to define dictionary. You just have to find out how to access the elements within the dictionary. Do that homework for yourself. Okay? Any questions? Dictionary புரிஞ்சுதா? You realize what dictionary is? I'm going to ask somebody. Nobody responds unless I ask somebody. Jay Kumar, did you understand dictionary?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Hari Prasanna, can you solve now using dictionary the cafe problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Manikam, how about you? You have to catch up on all the homeworks, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I think we are at time. Hope you learned something. So please make sure you finish your previous week's homework and do this week's homework, which I put in chat. I'll also put it in Discord in the Class B channel. Make sure you finish your homework and come prepared for the class. Okay. No excuses that I don't have the code, I don't have the laptop. You have to have some way of presenting it. If you don't have phone, you cannot show it in the phone. You should have put it in the GitHub. Even if you don't know how to do it in the GitHub, you should have a copy, physical copy stored as a file somewhere or email to yourself and show the code. Even if it is not in a working version, show us the code. Okay, you have to come prepared. You have to come prepared. And the reason why you're doing this is for yourself, not for us. I'm not getting anything out of it, right? You are going to become that much better. You are going to be prepared for the projects. You are going to be prepared for the interviews and you get internships and jobs. It's for you that you have to put in the hard work. I know that you are not, there are a lot of opportunities where you have to pay and learn this training. We are giving this free of cost, right? We are trying our best to do to teach you things so that you will be successful, right? So you have to put in the effort, right? If you don't do that, it's not going to help anybody. It's for me, it won't make a difference, but for you, it will make a difference. If you don't put in that effort, you are not going to go to that next step. Okay? Please do that. Please do homeworks. That is why we are giving you homework. We are challenging you. We are not even giving you like, oh, do Fibonacci sequence, right? We're not doing that. We're asking you to solve common everyday problems. How will you think through it? Nothing complicated, right? And if you need help, you should reach out to your mentors. If you don't know how something is done, maybe you Google something and you saw the answer, but you don't know how it is done. Reach out. Discord is always available. There are so many people who directly message me if they need help. Do that, right? And whenever I get time, I will respond back. Okay? So anyway, good luck for your exams. I know you all have your exams starting next week, most of you. So good luck and all the best for your exams. But please do your homework. Okay? Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.